Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Let's jump right in. So Zakeke, innovative food tech startup, has raised an impressive 20 million euro, comprising of 13 million in equity and 7.5 million in debt. Zakeke focus on B2B in the food industry is innovative by promoting a food as a service model. In addition, they have built an impressive IoT infrastructure and data, not only IoT, for a very, very lean and effective manufacturing and delivery process. So this round is interesting. It's very, it has different elements. It's multifaceted, and it was orchestrated with an active participation of a series of key investors. So I think it's interesting that maybe we cover maybe in the details a little bit what is happening. First thing which we've seen like in a few big rounds in Italy in the past year is the combination between equity and debt. And I believe for a round of this size is kind of, I don't know if it's becoming a normal thing, but it's definitely like common. What's your thinking on this?
Yeah, well, you're right that we are seeing many mixed type of deals. And I would say it is interesting considering the current conditions on the market, in particular the cost of debt for the startups. So it's not surprising, but it's something that's happening quite frequently right now. Mm-hmm. The point is always what you're gonna do with the money. I mean, usually you use that for specific things. To acquire, to build, create products or something very specific. So it will be interesting to see or to know what they're gonna do with this debt component. But you're right, this is something that we are seeing quite often right now.
Let's start considering maybe the equity part. So let's break it down. So 6 million come from LIFTT, CDP Fondo Corporate Partners 1, Simest, and I would stop there. So the first 6 million is basically, okay, LIFTT, we know them very well, private investment vehicles, one of the most active in Italy, so definitely like no wonder from that side. What is interesting is the CDP Fondo Corporate Partners 1, which basically, I was checking again, like sort of the starting and the history of the fund. So it's a relatively young fund, vintage 2021, focus on basically building a bridge between big corporation and startup through the management of CDP. So at the beginning, basically, they had a closing of 57 million for industry tech, among others, for a total of 300 million across different verticals, including, of course, industry tech, energy tech, service tech, and infrastructure tech. And of course, the deal with Zakeke was done through the industry tech branch. And just to give people an idea, as of today, I think this fund has invested in 14 companies, and also companies that we have seen in the past, being, for example, Caracol and Shop Circle. So very, very interesting angle, and definitely one of the active one when it comes to CDP. Very, very interesting. Let me move also with the Simest. Let's maybe talk about Simest for a second. That's another interesting player. We haven't seen that much, if I remember well, but then Nick, you tell me. So basically, Simest is also a fund which is supported by CDP. So Simest is owned 76% by CDP, and the rest by a number of bank and insurance company, including also corporate, including Eni, UniCredit, and Intesa. And the idea is to support small and medium enterprise, focusing on two things, internationalization and growth, of course, but using two specific tools. So one are what is called soft loans and equity on the other side. So soft loan is basically just another term that basically people use to consider like loans, corporate loans with very, very low interest rate, usually below 1%. so very, very like favorable for corporation. And the Simest is one of probably the big player in the industry. So very peculiar sort of equity round so far, like in that respect.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. The interesting thing is that Azimut is investing with in different ways. So AliCrowd was on the cap table. The AliCrowd is the fund that co-invested on the in the crowdfunding campaign that Zakeke did on Mama Crowd some time ago, and they also invested indirectly through LIFTT, because LIFTT raised quite a big bunch of money from Azimut. So
good point.
We are seeing many resources from Azimut and going into Zakeke.
Yeah, the total from Azimut is 4 million in this round from AliCrowd 1 and AliCrowd 2. So, 3 different angles and 3 different sort of bets, if you will. Talking about current investors, sort of following on, is about 3 million from Innogest, Fondo Rilancio, TAN Funds, and Levante Capital SIS. So people following on with their previous investments. What is interesting is probably, with what actually caught my eye was Levante Capital, which, we've been talking about SIS as a form of investment vehicles in Italy. We haven't seen many SIS actually playing in the field so far. And Levante has a portfolio. Okay, it's 4 investments, but the idea is that they have, I think, about 25 million under management, and they're like really curating the selection of investment. So that's an interesting player. All right. Moving on to the debt part, let's talk about the 7.4 million. So what is interesting is that, as you were mentioning, banking are moving despite the climate and the current temperature of the market. So here we have 2 players, BancaTer, which actually I don't think it exists anymore. Right now, BancaTer was merged back in July of this year with Ovest Banca, and basically they formed what is called Banca 360. So I'm not sure exactly whether they have still a vehicle for investments of those sorts, or actually everything is a loan from Banca 360 as a group. And that's kind of the first player. The second player is Fondo Fria, which is a regional fund from Friuli Venezia Giulia, one of the northern region of Italy. And also in their respect, they push soft loan to basically develop like general industrial, small and medium enterprise to actually develop and growth. So very interesting pool also from the debt side.
Yeah, agreed. Interesting that the BancaTer is not existing anymore, but it was mentioned on the press release. So that's either they loaned the amount quite a while back, and it's some kind leftover from the original idea of communication, or as a I don't know, player actually loaning money to companies. BancaTer is still existing, even though under the Banca 360 umbrella. I don't know. From a communication point of view, it's weird in a way, but
yeah. And cherry on top, they're basically opening a campaign on Mama Crowd for 1 million. And so the guys at Zakeke really, they don't want to leave any stone unturned. They really are touching like as many players as possible. So definitely like a great coordination, a great orchestration for this round, which is one of the biggest so far, I would say. So definitely good job on their side.
Yeah, they will probably be the second campaign on Mama Crowd because they closed one last year in April 22, above the minimum goal. So there was appetite from the public. So we see how the second one goes.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. Public administration in Italy is notoriously slow and convoluted. So this kind of sort of ground usually allows a very, very good and fertile ground for disruption. And this is what BonusX is doing. So BonusX is a startup helping customers receive tax and other I would say, well, helping with some tax element and bonuses that are easy to access through the normal public administration. So big problem in Italy, one of the probably undisrupted industry right now. BonusX managed to raise 3.2 million from giant ventures, exceptional ventures, 2,100 ventures, and a group of business angels. So this is extremely interesting because it's not like the normal sort of ground being disrupted, and I feel it's very Italian in a way. So it's a good mix between sort of Italian inefficiencies plus the help of technology solving this problem. What's your thought on that, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not so sure that's only an Italian problem, but we for sure have this problem, and this problem has two sides on it. One is the obvious one. So for me and you, it's quite difficult to know whether we have a right on something, like, a bonus or a tax relief or anything like that, on the one side. But the real problem is on the other side. If you think about it, if you have public resources allocated on bonus, on tax reliefs, and stuff like that, and people do not get access to that, then the resources are, they need to be left free. And if the resources are from from Europe, you're not spending money that you promised you would be spending. So that's a problem. You cannot allocate the funds as you want because you're not making it easy to people. So the problem has two sides, and BonusX is relieving both of them, I would say.
Yeah, and there is actually a term which I didn't know about, is the non-take-up problem. That basically exactly refers to that. So if you rightfully should access to certain elements and you don't because of non-awareness or bad marketing, I don't know, it's an actual problem there. And it's definitely something that as you say, it's an inefficiency that need to be solved in some sort.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, with all the information that the state has about all the citizens, I mean, it should be easy to just push the opportunity down. And you're eligible for this and this and this. Go ahead with at least, I don't know.
We could speculate on some like conspiratory theory here, but I think that's a theme for another podcast.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
But yeah, definitely that's an issue. And what is interesting, I think, there are two elements which are very cool, which is the adoption. It was insane. Upon launching last year, 2022, imagine there were like 350,000 users on the platform, just signaling the fact that really the current public administration is not doing a great job. And of course, that combined with a great product is definitely makes it extremely high in terms of traction. So that's cool. And the second element is that
it's free money. You go there and you get money. It's better than gambling almost.
It is.
For sure it is, actually, because you're getting money for free, almost. So not too bad.
And the second element is the pool of investor, not only Italian angel, but also early stage UK-based funds. Smaller fund, but definitely also interesting. Well, some smaller, some bigger. Of course, giant ventures. It's like kind of a big player in the UK impact sort of investment with purpose kind of space. So definitely very, very interesting player in the field. Exceptional Ventures, also an up-and-coming fund with 25 million under management and about 20 investments already. They are very young, but still they deployed extremely fast. So definitely like kudos to the GPs. On top of that, of course, a good group of angel, including Raffaele Terrone, co-founder of ScalaPay. So definitely they're moving and involving some of the big player in the fintech space, but not only in the fintech space. So that's a very good combination of investors.
Yeah, and it is interesting since, as you said, this is it looks like a real Italian problem. It is interesting that we have a UK-based fund run by, as far as I can see, non-Italian nationals leading the round or being one of the key investors in the round. I mean, Exceptional Ventures, we have one of the founders, one of the GPs is an Italian national. So
yeah,
very happy for him having him investing in the startup. But again, it's interesting that we have this type of lead investors in the round.
Yeah. I would take this as a proof that also big international investors are still keeping an eye on Italy. I mean, in a very curated and laser sort of deals, but definitely they're hovering around Italy in general, keeping an eye on what's happening in the ecosystem. And that's a signal in a way.
Yeah, indeed they are. So if you're listening to this, know that they are here and they're watching you. So
nice.
Clean up your metrics and KPIs because they might be coming.
Excellent. So. Amen, Nick, amen. All right, let's talk about Data Master. So Data Master's very, very sort of up and coming AI focused edutech startup, raising an additional 200K in its seed round from Primo Ventures, among other, for a total raise of almost $1 million to date. Very, very interesting angle, kind of willing to be one of the top player on basically data science and AI qualifications online. And not only that, what is interesting, I think also two different elements. One is that they offer very interesting packages to corporation for requalification of their employees. And this is super cool because, I think I'm old enough to remember when in companies, they had the first, classes in Excel and Word, Microsoft Excel and Word, to teach people to actually use this kind of stuff. Well, maybe that there is an analogy to that. So maybe that's the next level of tools that after 20, 25 years are coming back and revolutionizing how we work. So
yeah, we think so.
Master is right there.
We think so, actually, yes. Well, there is a possible window in the future where you need to know how to prompt an AI to use it at its best. I'm not saying you need to become a data scientist, but you have a conversational interface, and it's not. Yeah. There are ways to make it more efficient. So it's good if you are trained to use it correctly. So that would be just that would be an interesting starting point. We know there is a huge demand anyhow for anything related to AI, from machine learning engineers to data scientists to just data curation, data management. So there is a huge short-term opportunity there. Data Masters, they are producing a very nice and excellent catalog of courses for these type of roles. And they have an interesting vision about extending and building this Data Masters Brain platform to support companies in understanding their talent need, who they have in house, and bringing in the right people or starting the right education tracks for their own people working in the company. So nice vision. Excellent platform today, so that's what the company does to invest.
And great execution, very laser focused. I mean, they don't get distracted to all the hype of online classes of all sorts. They do one thing and they want to do it really, really well. And I think that's very, very powerful. So definitely kudos to the founder, to Luigi, and to all the team. So good job for sure. So one other element which is particularly interesting, which they are developing, and I know, Nick, you are an expert on that, is basically the community of professionals that they are developing. So in a way that they can actually tap into a community of people going through the program in a way that there is a matchmaking sort of play when it comes to job allocation and job placement. So the idea is really to give a platform for talent profiling and matching with the needs of companies that might be client of the platform. So it's not only providing tools and learning, but it's also kind of helping them access the job market, which it's the next natural step, and definitely like providing probably the biggest value there. I mean, that's probably where also there is a lot of this defensibility in a way, because classes probably in terms of quality, okay, you can always do the best class ever, but I feel that competition can easily sort of attack you there. When it comes actually to company profiling, like profiling talent and corporate matchmaking, that's a totally different game. And that's definitely like a powerful differentiator.
Yeah, and the good thing with respect to generalist platforms is that since you are so specific, it's easier to have the right people on the other side of companies or enterprises. You can give them access to a very specific and well-educated amount of candidates. So that's, in that case, it is working. I think early days for them. But the initial feedback is quite positive.
Awesome. All right, and of course, Primo helped Datamaster raise capital. Maybe if you can talk a little bit more from the inside, what happened and what is the logic that you guys use to sort of be completely convinced about this deal. We said it a little bit already, but I'm always wondering what is the sort of the behind the door sort of like way of thinking.
Oh, well, I mean, it is, you see a team, very good, well mixed, with, background in launching startups, background in technology, background in education, so all coming together. A solution that's working. So you see people are very happy about the courses, outcomes are emerging, the community is thriving, even though it's vertical and focused on Italy, and yet the KPIs are very good. Early feedback from enterprise customers are look positive. So those are all things that coming together make them very palatable for an investor. And then you listen to their vision, where they want to go, not just stick there to sell courses to people, but create a whole platform that solves a problem to people and to corporates. So all of that together was convincing. We backed them, and we decided that we wanted to be shareholders in this venture. And here we are.
Nice, awesome. All right, moving on to maybe the last two news. Let's talk about Banca Sabina, of course, one of the favorites of this podcast. Again, great moves on their side, acquiring 15% stake in ID Defend. ID Defend is a company that has been focusing for a while in identity theft, specifically actually working in possible attack from the dark web. So we kind of don't think about it, but actually the dark web is actually bigger and more scary than we might think. And these companies are actually helping to filter personal and reserved information. Banca Sabina definitely decided to take a stand there in a very smart way, because of course that's one of the key elements, not only for a bank but also for any institution that manages sensitive data. Makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah, and I have to say they have quite a rich product on what they're doing. They also have an insurance about identity theft, and I'm seeing that it's offered by Helvetia, a Swiss insurance, actually. Interesting. So the product is quite, complete, from warning whether you have problems with your identity, with your data, your position on the web, up until you do have a problem, and we help you solve it. So interesting.
All right. Lombardia Ventures, funds of funds initiative from the Regione Lombardia. Let's talk about that. So essentially, Regione Lombardia allocated about 40 million to 360 Indaco and United to push companies that have a headquarter in Lombardia, and they focus mostly, well, for the most part, in deep tech, I would say. And that's some new money for some interesting verticals. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, that's a good news. In these times, when there are new capital flowing potentially into the ecosystem, well, that's always good news. We got fourth. Only the first three got the allocation, but I mean, still good that there is money on the table and being distributed on the market. This is focused only on Lombardy-based startups, so it is a very specific. But if you look at the numbers, so Lombardy is home to probably the biggest amount of startups who raised funding in the last few years. So
totally,
it will have a positive fallback on the economy. So I mean,
yeah,
good news.
Awesome.
Hopefully, we'll see it in the news soon enough.
100%. All right, so that's it for today's episode. So we hope you find these updates insightful. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more exciting news and stories from the Italian startup world. So thanks for joining us today, and until next time. See you, Nick.
Ciao, Jack. Have a great day. See you, everybody. Ciao, ciao.